A week or two ago, I created this Sci-Fi Granade using plasticity. So what I thought it's gonna be fun to remake this more or less in Blender using Booleans and Subd. So you're gonna learn quite a few interesting techniques here. So let's get started, yeah? So we're gonna grab a cylinder and we're going to shift it to maybe 60 verts. We need this, I know we're gonna be running Subd on it, but we need a bit more of a dense detail in order to run, cuts in the mesh on a curved surface without distorting shading too much. So let's scale this on X a little bit, and we're going to scale it on Z axis, and let's now apply scale. Let's go to edge mode and select this one, and Q with hard ops and control click on curve extract, which is gonna extract this top. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to remove that face. Actually, we can keep the face. Let's go to the top view and go to right click and loop tools. So you need to enable the extension loop tools if you didn't, and circle, right? Make sure that you're gonna apply scale, because if you don't, it will not work. Anyway, so here what we're gonna do is we're going to, can I actually do that? Oh, yeah. So here what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab this middle part and we're going to press I for inset and inset it and move it up like this. Let me just turn off my proportional editing. GZ, there we go, right? And we're gonna drop it down here. So GZ here, make it larger. So Shift S, move the origin to geometry with machine tools. And if you don't have machine tools, you're fired, but you can also do it here, okay? Where is it? Origin, so here, this one, origin to geometry. Anyway, if you're learning Blender or plasticity and you want to finally master hard surface modeling, then join over 150,000 students who've already leveled up with our courses and coaching. If you're a complete beginner, start with Jumpstart 2.0, the most popular program for hard surface modeling in Blender, teaching you all the basics in only 3 hours. Now, if you're more serious about mastering hard surface modeling and you're tired of fragmented YouTube tutorials, then grab our Giga Bundle. It includes our entire curriculum, every major course and workflow, built to take you from zero experience to advanced level skills, including design fundamentals, subdivision modeling, game asset production, texturing, and rendering. We also offer standalone courses, and each one solves a specific problem in your modeling workflow. And if you want to build or fix your portfolio in as little as 2 to 4 weeks and turn it into a magnet for followers, client, freelance work, then join Blender Bros Academy. It's a 6-month mentorship program, one-to-one, when we help you rebuild your portfolio from scratch and refine your design, presentation, and rendering skills. Visit our page for more details. Links are in the video description. And if you're curious about our credibility, you can go ahead and check our testimonials. We have over 1,000 testimonials on our page from artists and students who've transformed their lives and careers with our content. Check them out, pick your path, and start mastering hard surface modeling today. Grab this one, and let's grab this edge here, EZ and F to fill it up so it's a solid. Select this one, Q and difference, right? So we're good to go. Shift 2, and this should work, right? So we're gonna apply this. So let's select the mesh and let's apply it. Okay, so alt click on ever scroll. Now we need to match these, okay, because they not match. So we need to match them here. And don't worry, they're gonna be a little bit misaligned, but it's fine. You could also enable surface slide and match them, slide them towards one another and merge them, but I prefer to do it this way. It's simply faster for me with machine tools. You need to move these, okay, right, to these, because these support the main shape structure, so don't touch them. Now you here past the middle, so I don't have to go deeper. I'm just gonna mirror this with mesh machine. So here again, combine these, and the word they misaligned, we're gonna fix it in a minute, okay? So Okay. This one here, boom, right? Awesome. And then we're gonna mirror this to the other side with mesh machine. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go here and select these. And we're gonna go to loop tools and space, okay? To space them evenly around the shape. And you know, this looks decent, okay, cool. So now we need a loop in the middle to recreate this kind of a cut here inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have 5 cuts. So let's create one loop here, and we're gonna bring it up. So G, G, and Z, and then we're gonna press E and F to flip it, right? And then G, Z to drop it down, okay? By doing so, we're gonna have this nice curved edge. So now let's go to the bottom here, and we're going to Control B this. Actually, that's too low. Let's go somewhere here. In fact, you know what? Yeah, Control B this. Still too high. A little bit lower. One more time. A little bit lower. That will do. And then just scroll them, right? To create quads, okay? And don't worry about the bottom, it's okay. We're gonna, you know, fix the bottom differently. So we're gonna go here S, Z, and scale this, and then G, Z, move it down. And we're gonna fix a few of these here to be able to recreate the bottom detail, okay? So we're gonna run something like this here, right? But anyway, what we care about is the middle part. So we need to select 5 of them here. So let's go here, 1, and then maybe space it by 2, and that's 3, 4, and 5, and I think it's gonna be perfect. Let's insert it now a little bit, and then we're gonna insert it one more time. Then we're gonna move it inside, okay? So Alt S and move it inside, okay? On normals, right? There we go. And now if we're gonna run sub D, so Control 2, you see it should work. So let's just shade it smooth right now. If you want higher resolution, obviously you can up it up. And if your PC is struggling, what you can do is go here to simplify, and you can turn off the subdivision or tone it, you know, drop it down to like maybe 1 or 2 in viewport. So it's gonna be more faceted, but your PC is gonna work faster, and keep high resolution in render, you know, just in case your PC was struggling, right? But this is gonna give us a nice cutout here. Now, if you wanna make this a bit more sharp, the way to sharpen these corners is not by running loops like this, because this is not gonna work, since it's going to break the shading. See, gonna break the shading here. So if I go here to a mud cup, you will see a problem, right? See that? This breakage here, right? So you can't do that. What you need to do instead, right, is you need to redirect these verts here. So what you want to do is you want to run a cut here like that. Let me just disable this sub D so you can see better. And another cut you want to run here, okay? Like this, right? And the third one you want to run here, okay? And then you want to dissolve these 2 edges, okay? And then you're gonna have quads. So when you're gonna run sub D on that, you're gonna have a nice tight corner. And then you need to just simply, you know, obviously solve this issue here, because these edges are not connected anywhere. So we will need to, you know, I'm gonna run them temporarily here, okay? But normally I would run them here and repeat the same process on the other side, right? But you see, this is gonna give you a really nice sharp corner. And once you connect these properly, you will not have a distortion here in the middle. In fact, I can show you, so you know how this should be run properly, right? So we would run a cut here like this, and then another one here, and then another one here. And this is why you need denser subdivision initially, right? So you need denser mesh on this element, because anytime you cut smaller elements in the mesh and you just, you know, running a sub D on it, you need to make sure that you have enough of topology to do that, okay? So I'm gonna run it like this here, right? So now we have quads everywhere, you see, and when I'm gonna run this, it's going to be really sharp, right? And then you can obviously you know, obviously dictate how sharp this you want it to be by simply moving this away from one another, right? So you can kind of soften this corner a little bit here, but you see the shading is going to be perfect, right? So if you want them sharp, this is how you do it properly on a mesh like this, okay? But anyway, I don't want them sharp. I want them, you know, I want them smooth. So we're gonna keep that. We're gonna mirror this to the other side with Mesh Machine, and we peachy. And then let's just turn it off for a second. We're going to bevel this. So I'm going to press 3 to clean this because there were some double verts. Control B, and by the way, this cleanup tool is from Machine Tools. Just have to enable it. I'm gonna run a supple bevel here like this because I really want it to be supple. I might actually make it larger, to be honest. So maybe what I could do is simply run a loop here and then GG, GG, and then E and F to flip it to this side. So I'm gonna have like a really supple bevel here on top. And obviously this one's gonna have to be fixed, but we could run a, you know, grid fill, or you could just insert it twice and you're gonna be fine, okay? You could do this, right? Because if you do this once only, you're gonna have pulling on the edges, okay? You need to isolate it one more time, that's a trick, and then you don't need a grid fill. But if you really wanna, you know, fill this up properly, you could remove this face, right? And then select all this, go to Control F, and then you can use grid fill, which is here. And then you just have to manipulate with these and, you know, adjust them however you want it. In our case, let me just spin this a little bit. There we go. And you got yourself a grid. I don't really need it because I'm going to be cutting this. I'm going to, you know, leave a face. I'm fine, okay? Same here in the bottom. Now, bottom, it's going to be a bit different because we're going to probably be cutting some detail. However, there's a, you know, we could either do it using Subd, or we could just run a Boolean and then fix the topology. So I'll show you a dirty way of doing this, because when you don't need to run Subdivision, you know, don't, okay? Now here on this, I think on this Granade, you have a chamfer. Yeah, we have like a large chamfer with a bevel. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna nuke this edge here. We're going to grab this one and we're gonna chamfer it, right? Like this. And we're gonna grab this one and GG and drop it down. And we're gonna run another one in here. One more here. We just drop it down to like 2 Subds. And this one, we could run another loop here, okay? Like that. So we can recreate this kind of a soft bevel, and then you can, you know, just adjust this to whatever level you want, right? But I think this is fine. Cool. So we got that. And then also we need the side, yeah, the side cut. So now the side cut is going to be a little bit, you know, more complicated, but we can figure it out. So let's just select this one here and hold Shift and Control, select the bottom. And let me see how this runs here. Okay, it runs to this elevation here, more or less. That's peachy. And we're going to insert it, right? In fact, before I do that, let's make sure that this top part here is actually straight. So we need to straighten this up, okay? Now the way to do this, right? You can't really do SZ0 because you're gonna mess up the shading. What you could do is you could run a knife cut in between them here like this, right? And then simply delete these, okay? So Control X, right? And then the bottom one doesn't matter, only the top one. Actually, this one maybe still should be straight, and this one should be removed. And on the bottom, we have a straight line. Here too, we could have a straight line. So let's run it here to this vert, right? Is this in the middle? Let's just mirror this to the other side, so we're in the middle. And nuke this nonsense, right? And we could do this one more time here. So all the way across like that. And just nuke this nonsense, right? So you got 2 edges on the bottom and 2 at the top. So let's grab this, all of it, and then all the way to here. This needs to go higher. Let's go one more. And just nuke that. There we go. So select from here to here. And we're gonna inset this. And we're gonna do it one more time, right? And then we're going to flatten the face, so S, X, Y, 0. And we're gonna move it in, so just move it in, right? Whoops. S, Y, 0, there we go. And then move it in, GY, and move it in, okay? And we're gonna scale it a little bit. Cool. Now, I wanna create kind of like a rounded effect here, right? So let's just turn it off. And let's just move these up, so GG, and move them. Actually, we can move them vertically, so GZ, and move them in here. And let's just move this one a little bit higher, right? Just gonna accommodate this shape here a little bit better. Then this one, GZ, and move it up here. And then this one, GZ, and just, move it up here, okay? And then we're gonna mirror this, right? So we're gonna get that. It's gonna be rounded with sub D, perfect. And in the bottom, we could have actually, let me see this. It's a bit more sharp. So here we could run this trick I showed you, right? So let's try this, right? So let's run an edge here, then an edge here like this. All right. And then we're gonna run it here. And then let's run another one here. And all the way to the top, and then here, right? And then another one here. And then here, okay? And then we're going to nuke these. Wait a minute. There we go. And nuke these, right? Okay. And then mirror. And then you're good to go. Let's see that. It's a bit tighter. I mean, it's a bit too tight, so we're gonna, loosen it up. So let's move this one up a bit, right? These horizontal edges, right? They don't really contribute to anything. We can actually remove this, okay? And then you're gonna have more space to move this one. So GG and move this one up a bit. In fact, let's just grab this whole thing and GG and move it up a bit. And then you gotta be careful here. We're gonna move this one. So let's just grab this and GG it here. So from here, right? And then grab these and move them here, okay? And then we can align these, right? So let's grab all these and just GG them all the way to the top. And GG and move it in here. Actually, let's start here. GG. There we go. Right? Okay. And then we're gonna relax this one, so GG. And move this. We could collapse this edge here in the middle, to be honest, because it's a lot of edges, right? So what we could do here, because we're probably not gonna be needing all that. If you wanna clean it up, you can do this, right? So collapse them, create a quad here. Move this one a little bit deeper, so GG, move it in here. And then do the same thing on the bottom. So select these and collapse them. Remove this one. Move this one lower. And then simply, whoops, grab these two and nuke them. So you're gonna have cleaner topology, you know what I mean? Less nonsense. And then you can rearrange these and kind of, make sure that they're kind of nicely spaced. And if you really wanted to space them evenly, you can select all these, right? Let's just mirror. Select all these here, and you could run space tool, right? And the same thing you could do, in here. So just grab them and space, right? And when I mirror this across, I want to keep this edge in the middle. It's kind of important. Mirror to the other side too, and I think we're gonna be Gucci. You see, now we got this bit more of a tighter corner here, and here we could have more kind of relaxed corner. So GG, drop it down a bit, right? This one too. And we could just, you could enable surface slide with machine tools and just, slide your verts like this freely, and they're going to be conforming to the surface. It's a bit easier to arrange topology using this tool, okay? And I think this is going to be fine. This one, GG, and move it somewhere here. And this is going to be much more relaxed. It's going to give you better results. Now you see that the there's a bit of a tighter bevel here in this corner. You see that? The bevel kind of curves in. And that's because of topology, right? But we're not going to be seeing this because we're going to have like an element over there. So, don't worry about it, right? If you're learning Blender or plasticity and you want to finally master hard surface modeling, then join over 150,000 students who've already leveled up with our courses and coaching. If you're a complete beginner, start with Jumpstart 2.0, the most popular program for hard surface modeling in Blender, teaching you all the basics in only 3 hours. Now, if you're more serious about mastering hard surface modeling and you're tired of fragmented YouTube tutorials, then grab our Giga Bundle. It includes our entire curriculum, every major course and workflow, built to take you from zero experience to advanced level skills, including design fundamentals, subdivision modeling, game asset production, texturing, and rendering. We also offer standalone courses, and each one solves a specific problem in your modeling workflow. And if you want to build or fix your portfolio in as little as 2 to 4 weeks and turn it into a magnet for followers, client, freelance work, then join Blender Bros Academy. It's a 6-month mentorship program, one-to-one, when we help you rebuild your portfolio from scratch and refine your design, presentation, and rendering skills. Visit our page for more details. Links are in the video description. And if you're curious about our credibility, you can go ahead and check our testimonials. We have over 1,000 testimonials on our page from artists and students who've transformed their lives and careers with our content. Check them out, pick your path, and start mastering hard surface modeling today. So we got this done, and the next thing what we need is gonna be this kind of an element here inside, right? But that's easy to do. So this grenade is actually could be a little bit taller, to be honest. There we go, apply scale, cool. All right, so now let's select these here and shift control click here to select this entire part. And make sure you turn off finish this surface light, and we're going to control click curve extract this, and we're going to move this somewhere here for a sec. We didn't select something here. We can fill it up with machine tools pressing 4. Right, so let's now arrange this top here because it's a bit of a mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to recreate the topology here because we might actually need it. So let's run proper loops in here, right? So let's nuke this and nuke this one. And we're going to run a loop here as well. And then we're going to nuke this one. And we're going to align them here, mirror to the other side. And let's just arrange them properly. So select this and SX0 and then GX and move it in here and mirror, boom. And then we need to rearrange this one, right? So we don't need this nonsense. We do need this one, so let's just combine them here and this shift 1 GG and move it in here, mirror to the other side. Fix this one a little bit, PG. Now we're gonna space them here, right? And it should be fine, okay? All right. And then these ones should be a little bit higher. So just to kind of ease off this transition here from the curved surface to, to straight lines, right? You just always want to kind of ease off your transition between these. And I think we're good to go. Superb. So now what we want, right? We will want a bevel on it, but in order to run a bevel, so there's a curvature here, you need to redirect the loop flow. At the moment, the edge flow and the loop flow is not going around the shape. You see, it's just being terminated. So we need to make it run around. The easiest way to do that is select everything and press I to inset it. You see, now we get this loop going around. So when I'm going to solidify this, right? So I'm going to go to operations and solidify it. So let's go here, right? And I'm going to run a bevel on it. Like a regular procedural bevel, just remove auto smooth because auto smooth will try to sharpen the edges. Just don't make it too large. You see the bevel is going to work because it's going to simply hold all the, the entire structure. Another way of doing this would be to simply remove the bevel and then, run edges, right? But before we do that, we need to actually fix the middle part here because it's, it's a bit of a mess, right? So now let's apply solidification. Okay. And we're going to have to fix this middle part, see, because it needs a little bit more subdivision, right? So let's grab a loop here and Control B that. And this is going to create a nice soft element here that we can pop in here, right? More or less going to fit. And then we can create the bottom. Now, honestly, personally, I would prefer to run a bevel on this instead of, running a subdivision bevel, because it's going to be much easier to run a boolean on this. And I'll show you what I mean. So you see, like, we have this curving here going up, right? And that's because this corner is really relaxed here, so we will need to tighten it up and play with subdivision and all that, so it's a bit annoying. So what I would suggest doing instead, I would remove these, right? Then what I would do, I would run a bevel on it, right? So I would run a bevel on it above the subdivision, which is going to hold it, okay? You see that? It's holding this whole structure. And then we can actually run a boolean in it. So if I run here and, run a boolean with box cutter, right? Okay. Like this, right? Just cut it. You see my bevel is going to hold the shape. All I need to do is make sure that my boolean is not interfering with any topology, right? See that? So let's just enable your wireframe, and you'll see that where the bevel is interfering is your topology. So you could, for example, make the bevel a bit smaller, right? We have interference here. So let's ever scroll this, right? And let's simply move it. So, you can move it up and down to clean it up, right? And now you got, clean surface here without distortions, right? So you're running boolean, bevel, and subdivision, and you got a really nice sharp bevel. So that's kind of like a, a way of cheating here, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to recover this boolean, and I'm going to kind of cut it like this, maybe. I think it's going to be more interesting. Let me see that. And I think it's a little bit too deep, so GZ and drop it down. Maybe somewhere here. Now this bevel here too is overshooting, so we can just, make this bevel smaller, or simply move some of this topology around. So you could just G and, move it around and see if it's going to help here. Another thing you can do is upgrade the levels of the segments to like 5, and it's going to tighten this corner up a little bit more, okay? And if you're going to bump this subdivision to 3, this is going to be super smooth, right? But just don't overdo it, because remember, you have a bevel running here. So when you overdo it, your sub D is going to start collapsing, because watch. If I go here to wireframe, right? You see this bevel. If you apply this topology here is not connected to anything around it, right? So the reason, for example, why I got this shading problem here is because the edge created by the subdivision is going to overlap with the bevel. So if you wanted to, make this go away, you need to make this bevel even smaller, okay? And I think maybe we don't need that many segments. I think three is fine. But you see, again, you will need to reconnect these, because then you're going to have a massive angle. But the angle doesn't really cause problems in this case, right? Let me just turn it off. You see, it's fine. We just simply need a little bit more subdivision, right? So, but again, if you do that, the bevel is going to collapse. So what you would need to do at the end, apply the bevel, and then fix this topology here. So that's how you could go around and sort of fix this problem, right? But honestly, we're not going to be doing that because I don't think there's a point. Another way of doing this will be to apply the subdivision, apply the boolean and the bevel, right? And then run subdivision at level 2, then fix this corner here by connecting topology, and then run one more subdivision on top of it, okay? So, you know, but this is going to be destructive, so this is the only problem, right? So the good thing about running it this way is that it's not destructive because you can always remove the bevel if you want to, and, you know, redo this whole shape if that's what you want, right? So it's kind of like a, you know, Booleans are fantastic for kind of running mesh for rendering, or maybe when you are concepting and you're not decided whether you want to progress with this design or not, you know, that's a perfect time to do this and run, you know, run cuts like that. And once you decide what you want to do, you finish with your designing, then you apply everything and you fix the sub, you know what I mean? So many ways of doing this. Now we need a circle cut here in the middle. So what I would suggest doing, instead of running a boolean, because if you run a boolean here, you're gonna have a problem, right? Because the boolean is gonna be underneath the subdivision, so you will need to have a really dense cut. Now, a better way of doing this would be to create a circle here in the middle, especially this is a flat surface, it's gonna be easy, right? So let's grab these and just move them away from one another, okay? Let's go here and go to Q and circle, and we're gonna scroll it down to create that many and make it larger, okay? And then we're gonna move these further away. I could just move it somewhere here. It's a flat surface, so I can just move them, you know, freely. All right, like that, right? Again, you want to create this kind of like a ripple effect, do you know what I mean? So, and then we're simply gonna connect these, right? And mirror. And then we're gonna grab this, whoops, grab this one, and we're going to scale it a bit. And then we're gonna insert it once and one more time, and then extrude it, and then insert it, and then run a loop here. And then you see you're gonna have a perfect circle. If you go 3 subdivisions, it's gonna be smooth as hell. So now let's make the, you know, let's pop a cylinder here in the middle, okay? It's gonna be better. So let's grab a cylinder, and I'm going to drop it to like maybe 4, I don't think I need more than 40, probably less is fine. Let's just rotate it and just scale it down. You know, I'm gonna more or less kind of I mean, we could actually fit it in perfectly. So we could, what we could do is we could select this vert in the middle here and shift S into vert, then grab this one and shift S into cursor. It's gonna be in the middle, right? And then let's just, you know, let's just model this here. Boom, right? And just on the bevel, and just insert this eye and extrude it. Whoops. Scale this a little bit, and we can just, you know, run a bit of a bevel here too. And we're done, more or less. This could have been a bit bigger, but honestly, it's fine. And we probably would need another cut on top of it. So now, this is a flat surface, so we can do whatever the hell we want in here, which is really easy. So let's align these. Let's align these, and let's align these maybe here, and then mirror to the other side. So we got more or less straight lines here. There we go. We need a straight line here too. We could drop it down a bit, and then we're gonna have this kind of a square here. You see that? There's a square here. Let me just align these. There we go. So we have this square here, right? Perfect. So let's just Control B this. So we're gonna split this and then run a loop inside, right? And split this one. And then we're gonna pop it in. Okay, so GX and sorry, GY and pop it in, right? And you're gonna get this kind of a shape here in the middle. And again, if you wanted to tighten the corners, you have to do the same trick, right? So just grab these and GG and, you know, tighten them up. And again, this is a flat surface, so we don't have to really worry too much about the curvature. Now this one should be dropped down, so GG here, and this one GG here. mirror to the other side, and you're gonna have a tighter corner here. And in addition to this, we probably gonna have to run a loop here in the middle. So let's grab this entire shape here in the middle. In fact, what we could do is select this one and this one all around, mark them as seam, press L here in the middle, and just simply insert this, right, like this. Okay, it's going to tighten this entire structure, you see. And here, well, we probably would need another loop, right? So what we could do here is select all this nonsense and then just insert it like this, and you're gonna, you know, perfect square here. Now again, this is a mess of a topology. We will need to fix it, but you know, we're not on a curved surface, so honestly no one gives a shit, right? But if you really want it to be, you know, pedantic, you would need to fix all this. You need to drop this down somewhere, probably here. I would wager that we could also fix this one a bit, gonna move them closer to one another, right? So it's not so terribly misaligned. But you know, it's really, you don't need to do this because we're on a flat surface, so no one cares. Okay, so let me just mirror this to the other side. So Shift S and to geometry, Alt X, mirror across this one, and we're good to go. And then this one too, Alt X, mirror, boom, right? Now the cut in the middle here in the bottom, since we have a subdivision here, right? There's a cut here in the bottom. We could run a regular square cut and then just simply, you know, whoops, I just go to Shift V and view line and ortho. And also we need to turn this on, which is going to be drawing a cut from here, and just run the cut here. And you see it's going to be clean. And the reason is very simple. We have auto smooth here, which we need to turn off. There we go. And then let's grab this cutter. And let's grab this face, move it up a bit, and scale it on Y, right? And then we're gonna see this. Well, we could, you know, sort of inject it into the shape, but the easier way of doing this would be to simply apply the subdivision, run this boolean, and then run a bevel on top of it, right? So run a bevel here on top, like this, a tiny bevel, right? Grab this this edge here and simply run a boolean, and then we would need to, you know, align this right here because it's conflicting with the sub D, right? So I'll just grab the bevel and make it a bit smaller until it stops being a problem, and then grab this boolean and move it a little bit left and right to see if we can fit it in. If we can't fit it in, then unfortunately you're gonna have to apply the subdivision and fix it. Okay, so we could do that. We could apply the sub D level 2, then we could apply this boolean, but before I can apply this, it's fine. And then we're gonna mirror this to the other side, and then you see this is what's causing a problem, right? So let's remove this edge here. Let's combine these, and this one should be combined here. This one could be ran here like this. And then we can remove all this nonsense, right? And this one doesn't really matter. It doesn't contribute to anything, okay? And I think we're gonna be fine. Mirror here, then mirror here. And then you just need to, you know, make sure you're gonna fix this nonsense, right? So here too, since we're not running subdivision anymore, we don't really need these. Well, we kind of technically need them, but we could move them in here, combine this one to here. And then this one could go here. This bevel should have more segments because we're losing the bevel here, so run it at 5. This one is interfering with the bevel, so combine these two and move this one slightly away from the structure. And this one too, move it in here and combine these two, you're peachy. Then simply, you know, mirror here, and you're done. This one is an absolute disaster, but what we could do is, you know, select, I don't know, select this one and mark it as seam. Then select this one and mark it as seam, and then press L here and then press F to clean it. Move to the other side. Done, right? So that's how you run a dirty subd and bools, you know what I mean? So if you don't care about topology, that's the best way to do it, and you can just play with the bevel, make it a bit larger. But when you do that, again, you have to remember to clean this up here, because it's going to be really close and it's going to start breaking. Okay, so you know, I just run it here like this, and we could even combine them here like this with J. It's fine, right? And then mirror, boom, done, right? And there's your grenade. Now let me save it, because I forgot to save it and something tells me that it's gonna crash in a minute. Okay, so that's our shape, and then just we need a top, right? If you're learning Blender or plasticity and you want to finally master hard surface modeling, then join over 150,000 students who've already leveled up with our courses and coaching. If you're a complete beginner, start with Jumpstart 2.0, the most popular program for hard surface modeling in Blender, teaching you all the basics in only 3 hours. Now, if you're more serious about mastering hard surface modeling and you're tired of fragmented YouTube tutorials, then grab our Giga Bundle. It includes our entire curriculum, every major course and workflow, built to take you from zero experience to advanced level skills, including design, fundamentals, subdivision modeling, game asset production, texturing, and rendering. We also offer standalone courses, and each one solves a specific problem in your modeling workflow. And if you want to build or fix your portfolio in as little as 2 to 4 weeks and turn it into a magnet for followers, client, freelance work, then join Blender Bros Academy. It's a 6-month mentorship program, one-to-one, when we help you rebuild your portfolio from scratch and refine your design, presentation, and rendering skills. Visit our page for more details. Links are in the video description. And if you're curious about our credibility, you can go ahead and check our testimonials. We have over 1,000 testimonials on our page from artists and students who've transformed their lives and careers with our content. Check them out, pick your path, and start mastering hard surface modeling today. Easy peasy, Shift A and the cylinder. Now you remember we need to add something dense, just like the bottom, so at least 60. And I don't think I'm going to be running a subd here, so we could even go 80, okay? Right? So to make it really smooth, because you want to make it as smooth as the, you know, as this subd here, right? Because remember, we're running subd. So if you run a cylinder that's not dense enough, you're going to have a problem, okay? So, bevel, we can run a tiny bevel, and then let's grab a loop here. Let's split it, and then Q and Shift curve extract to run this edge here. Let's apply this. Then we're going to run a chamfer here. Let's actually scale it down a bit. Then we're going to grab this cylinder here. Shift D this, move it in here, remove the bevel because you cannot have bevels and cutters. Now, you know what, 80 is a bit too much for a cutter, so let's go another cutter and drop it down to, I don't know, 40 is going to probably more than enough. Let's just scale it down and move it in here and pop it up. Sharpen this, and we're gonna cut. Actually, before we cut it, let's array it. So make sure the cursor is in the middle, right? So Shift S and cursor to origin, and then select this cylinder and go to Mesh Tools and Control click on radial array, and you know, then select whatever, however many you want. Shift click this one and difference. That works. So now this one here, we're gonna pop another loop here and one more here, and grab this one and S Shift Z and scale this. Then grab this one and align it here. So Alt A with Machine Tools, and then we're gonna need whoops, I'm gonna need a chamfer here, a larger one. That looks tits. And then we're gonna need the top. So select the top and then Q and Shift curve extract. There we go. And I think we got this kind of like a, this is larger, so shift S to geo. Whoops. This is larger, and somewhere here, and then let's apply. Actually, let's remove the solidification for a second. Let's mirror this with a line in the middle, and delete that, and grab this edge and extrude it on X, right? Then we're gonna solidify it. In fact, let's just clean this F, and then solidify it up. It's gonna be the back end, right? All right, and this back end kind of curves, so it curves here. So let's apply solidification, and the back end curves here, right? So curves here, make it supple. Remember that, right? And let's just, let's just run. Oops, this is solidified, right? Or is it? Let me just remove all these marked edges. There we go. Control B this, and do I chamfer this? Kind of. Okay, well, a little bit. It's gonna be fine. Boom, right? And then we can just grab this one. So shift curve extract, right? And scale it down. And yeah, create this top here. So kind of like this. And just, bevel this a little bit. Whoops, let me just apply this. Press and small apply. Make this bevel smaller. Yeah. I want to chamfer this a little bit. Make this bevel even smaller. The smaller the bevel, the more mechanical it's going to look, okay? So like if you make it really small, it's going to look very metallic. Okay, it's kind of a cool trick. Anyway, here we need a cutter, so let's just run the cutter here. From the middle, press Alt, and then GX and move it here. And then SY and scale it. And we're gonna cut it. There we go. And weighted normals. Cool. And then we need a handle, right? Now handle, also the bottom could be chamfered too, not gonna lie. Just like this, right? Look cool. And the handle is gonna be easy because we don't need this from array. Okay. Oh shit, we need to apply it. So let's apply the smart apply, and then we can remove this. And the handle easy. We can do this with box cutter. So press D, go to Ngon, and deselect everything, right? And we're gonna run here a line, okay? So go like this and drag it up here, here, and fuck, one more time. Let me just enable here on the input this one, so I can cancel it easily. So now, one more time, from somewhere here, this is too high, but we're gonna fix it. And going down here, okay? Then press E and extrude it like this, right? And approve it, and then we're gonna simply move to the middle. So Shift S and to geometry. Wait a minute, did it work? Shift S to geometry, there we go. And this one, Shift S and to cursor. I'm gonna rotate it, and it's gonna be in the middle. Boom. So here, align it somewhere here. Now this is a little bit too deep. So Alt Z, select these, not B, and select these and move them on X a bit here. So it's gonna be a bit tighter, right? And this one, I think, should be a bit higher. Whoops. Alt Z, B, select that, G, move it up. So see, I want to align it more or less with this edge here, this bevel, more cohesion in terms of what you call them, angles, right? So drop it down a bit, and then drop this one too as well. GZ, yeah, that's better, I think. And then, let's run some some bevels here. In fact, we could do this separately. So first one here, make it supple. Remember that. One more here, right? And one more here, okay? Right, and then we can increase the solidification. And I think we're Gucci. We can apply this, so sharpen, and we're going to run a bevel here. And then we're gonna cut this, right? Also, the bevel here could be supple actually on this one, right? And then we can cut this, right? So, you know, cut it in here like this, press B for bevel, and then press Q for quad bevel, okay? So when you bevel this cutter, see E and cut it, press Q for quad bevel, so you're gonna bevel the top side as well. B and then Q, see? And then shift click and just adjust it here. And let's increase the number of segments to, wait. Shift click this to live. Grab this bevel and adjust it to, like, I would say 12. So it's really supple, okay? All right. Apply this. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab this face here and shift the Z and drop it down and E extrude it. And you're gonna extrude it with a bevel. You see that? It's not one Boolean. Neat tricking. I've aligned them perfectly, okay? So there you go. And I think we're peachy. So there's your grenade. Now, again, like I said, there's one more element here. I mean, fine. I'll do it. You win. Let's go with the cube. So scale this, right, and move this in here. Do I have Cabulator installed? Fuck. Okay, we're gonna do it hard ups. This needs to be narrower, a little bit narrower, right? And, you know, beveled, right? Like, you need to now go really dense to apply scale. Go really dense in the bevel, because remember, we are cutting into a sub-D mesh. This needs to be really smooth, okay? Sharpen this. Now, we need to make sure that this shape is actually done properly. So let's difference this, and now let's fix it, okay? So first of all, this should be angled, right? So we're gonna grab the cutter, go to D and N-gon, and turn on face, and we're gonna actually cut it like this, right? So, okay, so shift click here, there we go, and move this, whoops, oh, come on, I wanna cut the cutter, there we go, one more time, shift click, there we go, and then grab this one, and GX, and move it in here, and C. That's what I want, okay? That's nice. Now you don't want this cutter to overlap with the bevel here. It's gonna be tight. But other than this, we can fix it, okay? So now we need to apply. Now let's make sure this is symmetrized, right? Okay, and then we're going to go here and, you know, apply everything, okay? In fact, wait a minute. Let's move this Boolean a little bit, so we're not gonna cause ourselves problems. So F scroll, right? S, Y, and just scale it a little bit. In or out. This looks like there's a little damage going on, so, you know, let's apply it. So Operation Smart apply, and then we need to fix the topology, right? So, you know, GG, you know, and all that, right? This bevel needs fixing. So let me just see this. Is overshooting here. There we go. It's just simply too big. Cool. Let's grab these and, you know, move it away from the bevel, because the bevel is clashing in here. This one is an absolute disaster, so we can just, you know, fix it. In fact, this whole middle here could be fixed, because Jesus Christ. We could run an element like this here. I mean, sorry, the edge. Mark it as a seam. Select the middle part and just F it, you know what I mean? Easy. Easy fix, okay? And then we don't need all this nonsense in here. So combine this. Whoops. Combine this and combine these, right? Perfect. And then This one should be here. These verticals don't contribute to anything anymore, to be honest. So you could remove them if you wanted to. You could just run something like this here. Whatever, right? And then we're gonna just mirror this here. Now don't mirror to the other side because it's only one side. So that's good. And our last thing we're gonna do is we're going to add another element here. So cube, move it to the front and scale it a bit. Apply scale. We're gonna more or less match this bevel here, right? What we could do actually is run, so now here we're gonna run a bevel is a mark, so Q and control click on mark, which is gonna allow you to run a procedural bevel. Let's run, I would say 14 segments, maybe, yeah, 14. And we're going to mirror this to the other side. So now you see the cool thing about it is that I can manipulate with this bevel and I can actually adjust it to whatever I want. So if I scale this cube, right, I can readjust this bevel here, watch. See what I mean? And I need it to be more dense. So I would say like, I don't know, let's go 26, fine. Something like this more or less, okay? And we're gonna drive it inside here. Like this. And we're gonna move this one inside as well. And drop this one down, okay? All right. And bevel this here on the top. And then bevel this one. Control click on bevel if you want to add another bevel, okay? Make it supple. And then, cool, now we need the curve. So, you know, plane, easy, RY 90, and just scale it. You know, make it larger, drop it down. Something like that. Move some here. Then let's drop a loop here like this. Let's grab this one and move it in. And then extrude it. Let me just see if this is gonna actually work. You know, this could be interesting. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just bevel this. And then let's grab the, actually, let's Shift Control B. We can apply scale. Then Shift Control B here. Don't overdo it, but make it supple. And then we're gonna select this edge here. And curve extract. And then press S. And you're good to go. Nuke this, and you're fine. Then we can just drop it in here, right? And what we could do, we could just simply make this larger here. So, you know, visual to actually, does it work? Yeah, I think so. I think it works. I could make this a bit bigger. So, you know, right? And then visual to mesh. Then run a loop here. Split it. And then simply select that on S and scale it. And then on the bevel on it. Should work. Change the angle here to, oh, 60 will not work. Fine, I'm gonna do it differently. Let's just run the bevel manually. Like this. So 3 segments and simply Control 1 to subdivide it, right? And mirror to the other side and Bob's your uncle. And we're going to drop it down a bit so it kind of sinks into this element, right? And we peachy. If you're learning Blender or plasticity and you want to finally master hard surface modeling, then join over 150,000 students who've already leveled up with our courses and coaching. If you're a complete beginner, start with Jumpstart 2.0, the most popular program for hard surface modeling in Blender, teaching you all the basics in only 3 hours. Now, if you're more serious about mastering hard surface modeling and you're tired of fragmented YouTube tutorials, then grab our Giga Bundle. It includes our entire curriculum, every major course and workflow, built to take you from zero experience to advanced level skills, including design, fundamentals, subdivision modeling, game asset production, texturing, and rendering. We also offer standalone courses, and each one solves a specific problem in your modeling workflow. And if you want to build or fix your portfolio in as little as 2 to 4 weeks and turn it into a magnet for followers, client, freelance work, then join Blender Bros Academy. It's a 6-month mentorship program, one-to-one, when we help you rebuild your portfolio from scratch and refine your design, presentation, and rendering skills. Visit our page for more details. Links are in the video description. And if you're curious about our credibility, you can go ahead and check our testimonials. We have over 1,000 testimonials on our page from artists and students who've transformed their lives and careers with our content. Check them out, pick your path, and start mastering hard surface modeling today. So there you go. There's a Granade in Blender, done with Sub-D and a bit of a dirty Booleans on Sub-D, but fun stuff, right? Now I'll show you last thing, okay, how to clean this one, right? So let's just Shift D this, and I'm gonna go with Uniquify. So we're gonna copy the modifiers and I'll show you, okay? So here the way I would fix this, right? I would go with 2 levels of Sub-D and apply it. Then I would fix this topology here a little bit, okay? So what you could do is, for example, GG, and drop this down below the bevel, you see? This is one way of fixing this. Another way of fixing this would be to create a manual bevel, right? But this is, one way of fixing this. And then you could apply one more level of Sub-D. Now, the problem is that if you do that, it's going to collapse. So what you could do is apply the Boolean, right? Apply the bevel, and now fix the bevel, okay? So we could fix this. So in order to fix this, we need to, have some fun here. So, fix that. Fix this one, and you're gonna have a triangle here, but that's fine. Whoops, don't worry about it. And here I would connect it like this for now, okay? I'm gonna move them up, GG, and this should be fine for now. Now this one could be combined, so they're gonna have quads, right? And the same here, this could be combined, so you're gonna have quads here. So the only issue you have here with the triangle, but because it's a flat face, no one gives a shit. And then if you want to run a Sub-D on it, it's going to work, you see? Because now you're flexing this corner, you're connecting all the topology. So just to understand how it works, it's really simple, okay? It's just, Sub-D is annoying as fuck, okay? That's the bottom line. See that? You just have to connect them so the topology doesn't collapse in, okay? That's how it works, right? And here too, just combine them and you're done, right? You also would have to fix the middle part, but I'm not gonna be doing that, but that's it. And again, triangle here is fine because it's a flat surface, but if it wasn't a flat surface, you could still fix it. You could combine this into one. Or for example, you could run another loop here, right? And then split it into a quad, okay? So GG, and then you have a quad, you know what I mean? So, there are ways of doing this, okay? But this is gonna work for this situation. Now here, I'm gonna have a bit of a beef, so we would need to probably fix this here, Jesus Christ, wait. Where's the subdivision here? Combine these, there we go. Move this one up here, and it's gonna be fine. Now this one can't be collapsed like this. We do need edge on here. Hang on, we do need this edge, my bad, because we need to connect it here, otherwise we're gonna have a collapse in geo. Remove this nonsense and this nonsense, is gonna be clean. What the fuck? Why can't I remove this? There we go. Copy that, clean. You see now if I enable this, pitch, and here, if something like this happens, that means you have a double topology somewhere, okay? If sub-D collapses on a quad topology, look, there's probably double vert somewhere here. I'm gonna find it. There must be. What the hell? Hang on. What's going on in here? This is interesting. Oh, it's auto smooth, that's why. Yeah. Never use auto smooth on your mesh because that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna start catching angles that are close to 60 degrees. If I set it to, like, for example, 80, it's gonna be fine, you see. When you're working with hard-ups and box cutter, always remember to remove smooth by angle from your mesh because it's gonna cause issues, okay? So, you know, and there you go. That's how you would normally fix this to make it clean, okay? If, you know, the police gonna chase you, all right? Anyway, guys, that's it. Long video, but I think it was fun. And there you go. There's a grenade in Blender. This could be actually a little bit more narrow. That's why I think it'll look better. There you go. And this one, I think, could be a bit larger. Yeah, maybe not. I think it's fine. Cool, awesome. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.